Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's topic, I'll be giving you all of those signs and symptoms of implantation, that is a successful implantation. So if you are probably watching this video, then you are curious, you want to know if definitely your implantation has been successful. So my name is Nay Yvonne. If this is your first time watching me, you are highly welcome here. And don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on your notification bell, so if I drop a new video, definitely you will be the first to see. So welcome back, guys. So first of all, before I get into this implantation sign and symptoms, we all need to understand what implantation is all about. So I'm just going to be explaining how the process of implantation comes about, or how it's actually happening. So like when you have contact with your spouse, definitely semen will be released, and in this semen you have sperm. So this sperm, if it's during your ovulation and your egg has been released, they will be in the fallopian tube waiting for the sperm to come and fertilize the egg. So now if you are someone that has been looking for a baby, or you want to get pregnant, or you have been trying to get pregnant, and definitely during this period of your ovulation you have contact with your spouse, this sperm will be carried through to your fallopian tube to meet that egg that has been released and is there waiting for fertilization to take place. So when it gets in contact with the eggs, fertilization is definitely going to take place, and if this process is successful, the egg will tend to become an embryo, and this embryo cannot definitely grow in that fallopian tube. It has to move down and implant itself in the uterus, which is also known as the endometrium. So that's where the pregnancy is going to take place. That's where the implantation is going to take place. So when that happens, now the fertilized egg, which is the embryo, will move down into the uterus and then implant itself. So when that happens, now many people, they are kind of curious, has this process been successful? They want to know if this process is successful, because at this early stage, when the implantation has taken place, you cannot do a pregnancy test and it's definitely positive. But there are some signs that will occur in your body that would definitely tell you you are pregnant, or that the implantation has taken place successfully. So that's where we come now. So I'm going to be telling you all of those signs and symptoms when your implantation has taken place, or when your implantation has been successful. So if you start seeing these signs and symptoms, definitely your implantation has been successful and you will become a mother very soon, hopefully. So the first sign I'll be talking about will be the implantation bleeding. So when that your embryo, the fertilized egg, has traveled down and it has reached the uterus, it's going to try to implant itself there in the uterus, so the baby can start developing, the baby can start growing. So during that process of implanting itself in the uterus, which is the womb, there are some kind of sensitive blood vessels that are found on the surface of the uterus. So during that implantation, it kind of pierces these blood vessels, and during that process, for some people, they are going to bleed out. So when these blood vessels, they bleed out, they flow out from your vagina as spotting. So it's usually very small, so it's not like menstrual, your menstrual period flow. So that's how you can easily differentiate. So for some women, they will not experience this spotting, but for some other women, they are going to experience it. So if you are someone that you are kind of doubting if you're pregnant or not, and you have not seen implantation bleeding, do not worry, because it occurs for some women, and for some other women, they are not going to experience this implantation bleeding. So don't get yourself worked up, or don't get too worried. One thing you have to take note is that this implantation bleeding usually occur around 6 to 12 days after your ovulation. So once you have your ovulation, just count like 6 to 12 days after that period. That's when you can experience implantation bleeding, because normally implantation usually occurs maybe around day 8 or day 8 to day 9 after fertilization. So that's why you have to be expecting your implantation bleeding around the 6 to 12 days after your ovulation. So this bleeding is usually very light, and it's usually pinkish. It's not as red as the normal menstrual period. It's usually brownish to pinkish, and the flow is usually very small as compared to the normal menstrual flow, and it usually lasts just for a duration of 2 days, and it can occur just within an hour, 30 minutes, or maybe just 1 day, but it will hardly go more than 2 days, and the bleeding rate is usually very small. You can just look through in your pan and you're just going to see some stains, brownish stains or pinkish kind of stain. So that's how implantation bleeding usually occur. So this implantation bleeding is the first and most accurate sign of a successful implantation. So if you experience implantation bleeding out within 6 to 12 days after your ovulation, definitely know that your implantation has been successful. So the second important sign I'll be talking about that you have to observe is a temperature dip. Like, you know, before your ovulation, your temperature is usually low. Around ovulation week, your temperature goes up, and when implantation has been done successfully, your temperature is going to go down. That is, you will have a temperature dip, and afterwards the temperature is going to rise up, and it's going to stay steadily like that throughout maybe your pregnancy. So when you start finding that variation or difference in temperature dip, and suddenly there is a temperature increase, definitely implantation has taken place and it has been successful. For you to easily determine this change in temperature, you can use a basal body thermometer. It's also going to show those changes in body temperature. So the next and the most important sign I'll be talking about is cramp. So, but this cramp, many people get confused between the period cramp and the implantation cramp. For the implantation cramp, this cramp is usually very mild as compared to the period cramp. So this cramp usually occurs as a result of the fact that when this embryo, it's moving down to the womb, that's the uterus, to implant itself, during the implantation process, it might grip the womb very hard. So you might feel a little bit of pain. So this pain is usually what is being termed as the cramps that you are feeling, but it's usually milder as compared to the period cramp. So that's the difference. For the period cramp, at times it's usually very strong and it occurs within 1 to 2 days before your actual period. But for this implantation cramp, it's usually very mild and you might not even experience it. For some people, they might not even notice it, or they might not even experience it. But for some people, during that implantation process, when the embryo is gripping on the uterus to implant itself and start growing, you feel that slight pain, which is the slight cramp that is occurring. So the next sign I'll be talking about is, for some people, they tend to experience flu-like symptoms, like you might have cold and maybe you have running nostrils. So when you start experiencing some of these slight signs and symptoms immediately within 6 to 12 days after your ovulation, that could be a sign of a successful implantation. Don't get it twisted. You just need to know, at times these signs, it's kind of confusing a lot with ovulation signs. So you might kind of think maybe this is just normal ovulation signs. But if you are someone that knows your menstrual cycle, you have been monitoring it closely, you know when you are ovulating, and you know after ovulation most of these signs are going to subside, but it keeps persisting 6 to 12 days after your ovulation, definitely you are pregnant. So I did a video on how to really monitor your menstrual cycle, calculate your menstrual cycle, your fertile days, your ovulation day, your safe days. So you can watch it for you to better understand this video very well. Okay, the next point I'll be talking about is the early signs of pregnancy. These early signs of pregnancy usually comes as a result of the increase in progesterone. You know, at the beginning of your menstrual cycle, the progesterone level is very low. The estrogen level as well, it's also very low. But as you move towards your ovulation, as you are moving towards your ovulation day, the estrogen level it's rising. So when you reach the peak of your ovulation, the estrogen level it's going to drop back again. So once your egg have been released and it's waiting for fertilization, your estrogen level drops down, and what comes up now is your progesterone. This progesterone starts rising because it's preparing you for the process of implantation. It's preparing the womb. So during that process, progesterone starts rising, and when it's rising, and if implantation takes place successfully, once that is done, your womb will start preparing itself for the production of HCG. This HCG hormone will help maintain that rise in progesterone level. And when there is an increase in progesterone level production in your body, what happens now is that you will start having these early signs of pregnancy, which is as a result of this increase in progesterone. So the first early pregnancy sign you can start experiencing is breast tenderness. But don't get confused, like I said, because breast tenderness also is another sign of ovulation. But if, like I said before, if your ovulation has already passed, and you know definitely this time around you are not supposed to have breast tenderness and it's still persisting, definitely you are pregnant or implantation has taken place successfully. Another sign I'll be talking about is headache. So some people might have mild headache, or at times the headache might be a little bit intense. All of these signs occurring 6 to 12 days after your ovulation is as a result of the implantation and also as a result of the rise in progesterone. The next I'll be talking about is food sensitivity. They tend to be sensitive to some certain kind of food and maybe change also in food preference. Another sign is that they might be nauseous. Some people might even start vomiting as early as that. They can also start vomiting. They feel this weakness, body tiredness, all of these are early pregnancy signs, and this sign become intense as days goes by. So the last and the very important point I'll be talking about is pregnancy test. Yes, implantation usually take place within day 8, at times maybe as early as maybe day 7, day 6, like that. So if you want to do a pregnancy test, it's better to do it on day 14. So after your ovulation, you can do it on day 14 for you to really have an accurate result, because this pregnancy test, what they are actually checking is the HCG hormone. So once implantation has taken place, your body will be activated and your uterus will start producing the HCG hormone. So but within the first day of implantation, the release of this hormone might be very small. So that's why maybe your pregnancy test might not be really sensitive, or maybe you might still have a negative result of pregnancy test. That's why it's always good to wait till maybe day 14 after your ovulation for you to really have a positive pregnancy test, because around day 14 the level of the HCG hormone in your blood will be very high. It will be very easy for you to determine if you are pregnant or not. And also, if you want to use body blood test to detect if you are pregnant, the level also of HCG in the blood will be very high. And usually when you want to do a pregnancy test, it's always advisable to go for your early morning urine. Why do they always say you should go for the early morning urine? It's because within the night the urine is concentrated, so at least the level of HCG hormone in it is not diluted with water and the rest. So it will be easy for you to easily determine with that early morning urine if you are pregnant, as compared to within the day when you have drank a lot of water and your urine sample is so diluted. So but it's always advisable to go for a pregnancy test on day 14 after your ovulation. So these are the signs that you can easily detect if you have a successful implantation. And there is also this one bonus sign I can just say, like if you know the exact day your menstrual period is supposed to start, and definitely around that day you don't see your menstrual period, and you know like you have been having a regular menstrual cycle, but the thing has kind of like exceeded, and then you're having all of these early pregnancy signs, know that definitely you are pregnant. Your prayers have been answered, so you should start preparing. You can then go in for a pregnancy test, or that is already a sign that you are pregnant, because you know your menstrual flow was supposed to occur within this day, and definitely it has not occurred, and you are not feeling any sign or cramps or any menstrual flow symptoms. So definitely you should know you are pregnant. So thanks for watching and stay safe. Ciao. Love you all.